The first strange thing before a storm is not the wind. It is the way the birds seem to vanish before it arrives. A cardinal was there minutes ago, bright against the feeder. Then the sky lowers, and the yard loses its small voices. Where they go is not fear or disappearance. It is a practiced storm routine unfolding in plain sight outside. The empty yard is not empty. Long before the first hard rain, birds read the changing air. One chickadee leaves the feeder early, crosses the damp yard, and disappears into hedge cover before the first hard rain arrives. The movement can look nervous, but it is not random panic. Pressure, wind direction, light, and sound begin changing around them. They do not need a forecast when the whole yard is changing. That is why feeders can become busy right before weather closes in. Birds take quick, final meals, pause to listen, then slip from the open feeder into cover one by one before the storm arrives. A quiet feeder may be the first warning you actually notice. First, they read the storm. Once the wind rises, most backyard birds do not outrun it. They move into tiny places where the storm loses force, choosing hollows, hedge interiors, and still pockets you would never notice. The center of an evergreen can become a room of still air. A hedge bends in gusts, while a small bird stays tucked on the protected inner side, motionless except for its breathing. A brush pile, vine tangle, or old shed beam can matter. This is why old trees and wild edges protect more than beauty. The bird is not gone. It has entered the quietest pocket nearby. That pocket may be only a few feet from your window. They vanish into small weather rooms. Once inside cover, staying attached becomes its own survival skill. A bird crouches, and the feet tighten around the branch. A small bird crouches low and grips a branch as the branch sways back and forth in wind, using stillness as strength. It is not winning by strength. It is surviving by structure. For humans, fear often demands action. For birds, stillness can save energy. A small bird rides the moving branch without flapping, letting its feet hold while the body saves energy inside the storm. The storm is loud, but the strategy is quiet. Sometimes survival looks almost like doing nothing at all. Stillness can be strategy. A small bird fluffs round inside cover, trapping warm air close while rain slides past the outer leaves and branches. Wet wind can steal heat from a small body very quickly. Feathers puff outward, trapping a layer of warmer air. The yard brightens after rain as one bird emerges from cover, pauses, then moves carefully toward the feeder again. That warmth is paid for with food gathered before the storm. The danger after hiding is often hunger, not only wind. That is why the first clear hour after a storm can matter. The bird waits, burns fuel, and listens for the opening. Warmth costs stored food. A wide storm map slowly dissolves into the backyard, letting the viewer feel the scale without losing sight of the small birds. Coastal birds and migrants can be pushed far from normal routes. Radar sometimes catches birds moving within massive storm systems. The hurricane eye diagram slowly rotates, holds for a breath, then fades back toward ordinary backyard shelter and waiting branches. That story is dramatic, but most backyard birds are hiding nearby. Hummingbirds face a different problem because their fuel burns so fast. Some can enter torpor, slowing their bodies until conditions improve. Even the smallest bird has more than one way to wait. Some storms move the whole map. A woman opens the curtain after the storm and watches the wet yard come alive again without rushing toward it. Surviving birds emerge tired, searching the quiet yard for quick energy. Branches have fallen, insects are hidden, and seeds are scattered. This is when your feeder may matter most after the storm. Not because birds are helpless, but because recovery has a cost. A woman checks the feeder station, refills it with clean seed, and steps back so birds can return without pressure. Clean water matters too, especially if bowls filled with leaves. Wait until lightning, falling limbs, and dangerous wind have passed. Help begins after danger moves on. Comment what your birds do right before storm weather reaches your yard. A woman writes a simple checklist at the kitchen table: shelter before the storm, clean water and food afterward. Protect the wild edges birds already use in rough weather. Leave dense shrubs, evergreens, and brush piles when safe. Move feeders away from branches likely to fall in wind. A woman checks the wet feeder pole for stability, looks for damage, then adds fresh seed only when it is safe. Remove spoiled seed, sharp debris, and dirty water first. Keep cats inside because exhausted birds react more slowly. If a bird is injured, call a licensed wildlife rehabilitator. A woman steps back from the feeder and stays still while birds return from the shrubs, one careful movement at a time. Build shelter before the sky asks for it. One caution: not every storm story belongs to every backyard. A hurricane map is compared with a small backyard window view, reminding us that survival can happen at both scales. Most sparrows, cardinals, and chickadees choose nearby cover instead. Do not shake shrubs or search nests to find them. Respect means letting hidden birds remain hidden until they choose to return. Once you understand this, the empty yard feels less abandoned. A bird lands at the wet feeder, shakes rain from its feathers, looks around, and begins feeding in the quiet after-storm air. The absence becomes shelter, not disappearance, and the yard feels intelligent. The first bird back feels like a small answer. The yard did not fail them. It gave them places to wait. So when the sky goes dark, do not assume your birds vanished. They may be closer than ever, folded into quiet places. When the light returns, put back what the storm took. A woman refills the feeder, steps away from the window, and birds return one by one into the softened evening light. Comment feeder, hedge, or storm if this changed how you watch weather. The storm was loud, but survival was quiet.